How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Jose, aka TheNYCGeek, aka TNG, aka your Elden Lord. Even in a court of law, your Elden Lord, aka the guy who's here with a review and breakdown of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, episode 1 over on Disney Plus. Now, first, I do want to quickly apologize for not putting out my weekly Geek Pulse episode. My allergies have been killing me, and you definitely don't want to see me sniffle and sneeze my way through a video. But I want to talk about She-Hulk because I just watched it earlier today. I did wake up early to watch it. And now what is going to make this even worse for them is I've just come off watching the perfection, the masterpiece that is Better Call Saul, the series finale. And whew, that is a show that actually has a set of competent writers that actually know how to work on legal discourse, something that the writers of this show themselves admit, okay? And I'm not just pulling it out of my ass, all right? They actually have talked about this, and they have said that the She-Hulk head writer admits the Disney Plus series originally developed as a legal procedural unit until the writer's room realized that none of them are adept at writing rousing trial scenes. I can tell you right now, they're not adept at writing, period, but, you know, you could just say that. You could go there. They talk about how, you know, Jessica Gao, the head writer, has revealed that they were originally pitching it as, and they greenlit it as a full-blown legal procedural, you know, something like Better Call Saul and the sort, and that they just have no idea how to write rousing trial scenes. She speaks here how, you know, in my original pitch, she wanted it to be an actual trial and it spanned multiple episodes. Then we got into the writer's room. Inevitably, things change as you're developing the show. And the one thing that we all realized very slowly was that none of us are adept at writing, you know, rousing trial scenes. It's not a good way to start, especially when you call the show Attorney at Law. But hey, this is you know, this is the MCU. They clearly don't give a fuck anymore. And also, I have worked a few years at a district attorney's office, so I'm already coming into this with a different set of eyes. I'm trying to be impartial. I am trying to be impartial, but it's that I will come into when there's certain scenes that make me roll my eyes. I'm like, oh, there's no way that would conceivably work or happen, or anyone would say these kind of things. But look, this is the MCU right now. So I'm going to try to break down the episode, and I will, scene by scene if I can. This will obviously include spoilers, so I will chapter off where the spoilers begin, where they end, where I get to just my final verdict for it. But just in case you somehow want to put yourself through this show, and I got to tell you, it is the first episode alone is already an ordeal. We aren't even 1 minute in, and you can tell how cringy and corny this show is going to be. And of course, that men must equal bad, because we start with Jennifer Walters, the main character, practicing her summation, which looks to be the shortest summation I've ever heard in my life. And one of her colleagues, Dennis, who's a fellow attorney, fellow, you know, ADA, is criticizing her. He's criticizing her summation. He says, first off, he's an idiot too, because he's like, too wordy. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? She says like 5 lines. But, you know, her best friend, Nikki, claims, Jesus, let me tell you, her best friend, Nikki, claims the record for being the most annoying character in the shortest amount of time. I thought that record that no one would ever beat Aquafina for it. And yet, Nikki snatches it. Just like this. This is all within like the first minute or two. And Jen, of course, values the opinion of her friend Nikki, a paralegal, over a fellow assistant district attorney because matriarchy. Right after that, Jen goes into her office to break the fourth wall, which will get a lot of Deadpool comparisons. And I am going to defend the show here. Yeah, I will defend the show, and I will defend the character, because there will be people who will say that, you know, She-Hulk is ripping off of Deadpool, doing the fourth wall. She's not. Done my research, and the character of She-Hulk has been breaking the fourth wall since 1989 in an actually very funny cover in her second series of Sensational She-Hulk, where she like threatens, she tells the fans, this is your chance. This is your chance. You know, buy my comic or I'll destroy your X-Men comics, you know, if they don't buy her series, which was funny. And Deadpool only began breaking the fourth wall in 1997 when he meets up with, Bullseye comes across him in an alley and he makes that infamous line of issue 16 or something like that. So I'm not trying to elevate the quality of the show because the episode is bad, but facts are facts. So those who might say, oh, she's just ripping off of Deadpool. No, she's not. Okay. She's been doing it since 1989, almost 8 years prior to Deadpool ever doing it. So we go back to Jen explaining how she got her abilities in this flashback scene of her and Bruce. And she begins discussing what's going to be like the running gag of this episode. I don't know if it's going to be of the show, but of the episode, that Captain America is a virgin, and her theory for basically calling Captain America an incel, setting aside the fact that we'd all wager money that she's wrong. That's not even the point. The main takeaway from this is that we've seen in the MCU, it's okay to mock people, even about their sexual prowess or lack thereof. It's okay to strip characters nude and demean them in front of people like they did in Thor: Love and Thunder. It's all okay. As long as it's a man. As long as it's a man. We're not even 5 minutes in, and we already have the main complaint, the main expectation that myself and others have had of this show, that the main character was going to shit on already established characters who, in a paltry and pathetic attempt to establish and elevate themselves. It's weak and fucking bad writing. Okay? It's already happened. In the first 5 minutes, I'm telling you, go look at the clock. And we go back to the scene and Jen crashes her car because she's an idiot who takes her eyes off the road and doesn't see this huge spaceship that flew in front of the car. She swerves and crashes and then not only pries herself out of the car, but she also saves Bruce because matriarchy, of course. Then she gets some of Bruce's blood in her open wounds, and that's enough to transform her into She-Hulk. A few drops, like 7 or 8. I tried to count. That's all it takes. We better hope that Hulk, who is obviously a melee-focused character and gets up close and personal with his enemies, hopefully hasn't bled on anybody, because there might be other Hulks out there now. And I know that they try to fucking say that Bruce is that him and Jen have a rare genetic factor that allows them to synthesize gamma radiation. That doesn't make much sense. Doesn't make it any better. There might be others with that same mutation. It just was like, what the fuck? At least in the comics, when they have it, it's like a blood transfusion. It's a lot of blood from Bruce going into her. It's not just 7 drops and she turns into She-Hulk. So she recovers from her first transformation and she stumbles into this local bar's bathroom, looking all like disheveled, and 4 women walk into the bathroom. They start taking care of her, putting on makeup, and they start putting hairspray on her. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? The fuck are you doing? Like, this is according to, again, head writer Jessica Gao said that to her, this is the most important scene in this episode because apparently it shows that women take care of each other or no matter what. What the fuck? Awful. It's awful. It's awful. And of course, they don't think to call the cops. This woman looks like she's been hurt or something. Let's call the cops. We'll get some help. No, let me put hairspray and makeup on you. And of course, right after the scene of the women being extremely helpful, or what they call helpful, we get 3 men leaving the bar and they're immediately grade A assholes. Because again, the men in this show are either idiots or terrible people. They start catcalling her and she transforms and she scares them. And then Bruce, grabs her. He's able to take her back to his secret lab in Mexico, where he's explaining that the reason behind her transformation, and as soon as he says, hey, you can transform in this, and she actually says, and I shit you not, because I'm better than you. This is so pathetically, it's so fucking, the first few minutes, this has barely been 10 minutes, and they're just proving people right, that the expectations that everybody had, that this show was going to be nothing more than them having Jen look awesome while dumping on the Hulk, dumping on Abomination, dumping on Daredevil, dumping on any established characters. You would think they would have spread that out a little bit, but no, this is within the first 10 minutes of the first 10 episodes. I know because I clocked it. I looked at it. I went back. I was like, wait a minute. Let me hold on a second. It was like 10:51 when all this is happening. And I go back and I'm like, this episode started around about 40 minutes, 40 seconds in. Holy fuck. 10 minutes in and they're just in your fucking face. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. It's so over the top. It's so over the top. And then she berates Bruce for calling himself Smart Hulk. She calls him Smug Hulk. Jen, you just said you were better than him, okay? He's an actual fucking genius who developed time travel. So yes, if he wants to fucking call himself Smart Hulk or use the term that others are using for him, because he says others are calling him Smart Hulk, so he's just using the name. Especially when it's a comparison to the fact that normal Hulk is anything but smart. Yes, he's allowed to, okay? Bruce is telling Jen it's going to take her some time to come to terms with being a Hulk, how it's taken him years, but we know that's not the case for our heroine. No, because we've seen in the trailers that she's a better Hulk. We've already seen it. And then when Bruce is going to try to experiment with Jen to see the emotional threshold needed for her transformation, she says this line from the trailer that never settled well with me. Bruce tells her like the triggers for his transformation are like anger and fear. And Jen responds, those are like, this isn't exactly what she responds with. She says, those are like the baseline for any woman just existing. Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing. Fuck off, Jessica Gao and your shitty writers, okay? I've met a lot of women who aren't just always angry and afraid, okay? How fucking insulting are you? All right, one of the strongest people in my life is my mom. My mother grew up in absolute poverty in Puerto Rico, okay? She came over here in the States, worked in factories, busting her ass as a cashier, as a maid, cleaning up people's actual shit to help put food on the table. And there wasn't an angry bone in her body. So fuck you, Jessica Gao, and you writers who don't apparently know that women aren't always just angry or afraid, okay? You certainly don't know how to portray men correctly, and you don't know how to portray women correctly. So I had to get that off my chest because that line has annoyed me and angered me since the moment they said it in the trailers. So we're back to the experiment, and Jen breaks out of the chamber because like he puts her, you've seen it, he puts her in the chamber with the saws coming at her and she transforms and she breaks out. And we saw this in the trailer and that he's jealous. Bruce is jealous because Jen doesn't have an alter ego to deal with. And the only serious part of this show so far has been when Bruce starts to explain to Jen how she should be taking this more serious because she's just like, whatever, I don't need to. The fact that it's not about Hulk rage. She has superpowers now. You know, a fit of anger around her could be life-threatening to those around her. Like when you fucking hit a table, she might smash through the table and send something flying at somebody. Like he's trying to imprint on her like, hey, idiot, it's not just I got power. Like, I'm okay. No, dude, you have to take it. But because Jen in this show has the maturity of a 10-year-old, she still barely takes it as serious as a normal person would when confronted with the fact that they are now a fucking Hulk, right? We go to the training montage and it ensues of Bruce trying to teach her what it is to be a Hulk, to live as a Hulk. And one thing, thankfully, in the rock throwing scene that we've seen in the trailers, Bruce hurls one into orbit because like he throws one and then throws one right after to one up him. Like, look, I threw it farther than you. And he takes it and he's like, boom, and he fucking throws it right into the fucking atmosphere. And she's like, all right, fine. Like, that was a nice little touch. But everything out of Jen's mouth so far, and I kid you not, is an insult to men. And it's like, this isn't her character in the comic books. It's not. It's a shame because Jennifer Walters is a charming character. You go back to the 90s Hulk cartoon, I've said this before, and they did an infinitely better job at portraying the character. They caught her sultriness, they caught her ferocity, and her still caring very much about her cousin, all in like 3 minutes of her being turned into She-Hulk in the cartoon. I'm telling you, go look up right now on YouTube, She-Hulk transforms, She-Hulk transforms 90s Hulk cartoon, okay? Look that up. You will find a quick video. It's 2 minutes and 44 seconds. When she transforms into She-Hulk for the first time, she breaks out, she fights Dr. Doom, she cracks a joke, she gets that sassiness, because that's her whole thing, is that she's this timid character. But when she's She-Hulk, she's emboldened. And she calls to Bruce because she wants to help him, because she knows he's on a rampage, and Doom is manipulating Hulk because he has Jennifer Walters hostage. And it's like they captured her perfectly in the cartoon. In the show, she's just portrayed as a bitter bitch. And she's better than that. So what the fuck are these writers doing? Are they purposely hamstringing her? And we go back to the training montage, and Hulk is telling her that they can drink a lot and to not have to worry, because they don't have to worry about the barfing aspect. And honestly, this is a nice little scene between them, just being cousins. And I wish we would get more of this, but we're not, because immediately Jen goes off to listing. And I swear to God, she lists how the patriarchy has kept her down her whole life. She tries to leave because she's done with the training, but Bruce, Bruce is an idiot. And Bruce tells her she's being an idiot, and they both are. And the two get into this little brawl, and they have another little sweet cousin moment before she goes back to being obnoxious and back to her life as a lawyer. It's just you get a glimpse, you get a small glimpse of what Jennifer Walters should be, maybe twice, maybe 3 times in this episode, and it lasts for maybe 30 seconds, maybe before it goes back to just her being bitter and just a misandrist. We finally get to the trial that she has been prepping for since the beginning of the show, and some terribly dressed woman attacks the court for reasons they haven't explained yet, and Jen beats her in an awful fight that is hokey as fuck. And I do mean hokey. I mean, this is bad. She takes the table. She takes a table, throws it at her. The woman, the other, I don't know what the character is. I fucking know. It's who is the woman in She-Hulk? Tatiana. Okay. No, that's the actress's name. I don't know who the villain is. I'm going to call her Amazon Lady. Amazon Lady, because she's got like fur coats, fur stuff and whatnot. So she takes a table at Amazon Lady, throws it. Amazon Lady falls back before the table hits her. She then does a flying jump kick at her, and you can see where it's like she's being pulled along with string towards her. And then She-Hulk punches her, and she's down for the count. And yes, at the end of the credits, Hulk confirms her that Captain America is not a virgin, because that was such a necessary thing. Look, this show is already starting out pretty bad. And the worst offense is not that it's constantly hammering you over the head with men bad, women good, or that it doesn't seem to understand what humor is or how a district attorney's office actually works. It's not even the breakneck speed that we delivered the origin story of Jen's power. These are all bad things. They're all bad things. But no, the worst thing that this show has done so far is not understand their main character. Jennifer Walters has always suffered from my least favorite tradition in comic book universes. One of the laziest bits of writing you'll ever see. The hand-me-down. There's other people use different terms for it. I call it the hand-me-down. When writers can't think up of a new character or even a new set of powers or anything, and they just, quote, pass the mantle, okay? We've seen it done with Miles Morales, a blank slate of a character who will never be Spider-Man. Never. That's why they have no idea what to do with that character after all these years. They still have no idea. They tried to do a what if and pass him off with other hand-me-downs because they don't know what to do with Miles Morales. We've seen it done and damage other already established characters, such as Falcon, who was the first Black American superhero in mainstream comics. And they had that identity stripped off of him so he could become the next, quote, Captain America. Because the only validation I guess he has is when he takes up Captain America's mantle. Not the fact that he's Falcon, he's his own original fucking character. No. Let's strip him down and fucking pass him down the mantle. Give him the hand-me-down, which is insulting to him and devalues his own achievements. And this sort of lazy writing, the hand-me-down, often afflicts female superheroes too. Batwoman to Batgirl. Batman to Batgirl. Superman to Supergirl. Spider-Man to Spider-Woman. And Hulk to She-Hulk. They do this all the time. It's lazy, the hand-me-down. That's why I love the X-Men so much, because there's so many strong female characters there who are original fucking characters, like Rogue and Storm and Jubilee. They all have their own Mystique. They all have their own fucking powers. They're not hand-me-downs. But Jennifer Walters, even having had that lazy hand-me-down given to her, she still had the blessing of trying to be her own character. Where Hulk was furious, she was sultry and sassy. Where Hulk is mindless, she still has her brains. She would break the fourth wall and use humor, not actual humor, not the malicious jabs that this show tries to land. And I'm reminded of the corniness of Thor: Love and Thunder, where everything is just made a joke, and that's fitting because that's what the MCU is. I guess it's a joke now. But there is no charm in this portrayal of Jennifer Walters. She's just bitter, obnoxious, and honestly, as far from the She-Hulk as one might think. I've said it constantly. Please look up a far better adaptation of the character in the 90s cartoon, because yes, there are more episodes and this is only the first, but this is already an awful start. This is already a horrible start to, and if Disney Plus has shown us anything, is that their MCU shows, they don't stick the landing. It's usually a downhill. So if you're already starting down here, how much fucking worse can it, I can't, it's just, I'm like, how much worse can it get? And I know it's going to get worse. It will, because just wait until they introduce Charlie Cox as Daredevil to shit on him too, as they did in this entire episode with Bruce. So yeah, She-Hulk is already off to a stumbling, it didn't even leave the gate. It didn't even leave the gate running. It actually, she fell backwards. He fell backwards before, you know how the fucking horse race, the gate is here, and no, she fell backwards. She didn't even leave the gate. So anyway, this has been the NYC Geek. If you've enjoyed this content, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit it right now. Also, while you're at it, please consider hitting that like and share button. Share it with others. Hit that freaking bell so you can know when another video goes live. Leave a comment down below. I do love to engage and chat with all of you, and I do try my absolute best to respond to every single comment. Let me know what you think. Did you watch She-Hulk? Do you share my opinion? Are you enjoying it? If you're enjoying it, I actually want to hear why you're enjoying it. I like to hear discourse with others, and tell me, what are you enjoying about it? I clearly try to list my reasons as to why I don't like something, or if I do like something, tell me why you're enjoying it. Don't just say, it's great. Okay, but why is it great? I need to hear the why. I need to hear the why, please. And if you haven't already, follow me over on twitch.tv/TheNYCGeek, where I stream regularly on Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, as well as follow me on the disgusting, filthy cesspool that is Twitter. It's fucking gross out there. It's going to be bad these next few weeks with the She-Hulk show. Remember always, your time is precious. I thank you for sharing it with me. It's absolutely vital. Stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll see you guys next time.